Thanks, Ian. That's great work. Now we move on to the Code of Conduct.
Just two matters there. We've added a new resolution to request the Chief Executive to establish and maintain a panel of up to at least three people who are available to investigate and report on alleged breaches of the Code of Conduct. And we're also, following on from Councillor Templeton's suggestion this morning, we're going to add into clause 12 of the code, if a member believes this code has been breached, he or she is encouraged to first resolve the matter by discussion with the member alleged to have committed the breach.
Yeah. So can you just provide that wording to the...
Yeah.
Yeah, so that it can be just including... No.
Yep. Okay.
Under clause 12, providing for an alleged breach to be dealt with between
members,
or to be raised directly with the member concerned as a first step.
Okay. Yeah.
It's almost an exact wording from last time. But
Yeah.
elected member rather than councillor, and encouraged rather than asked.
Yeah. Encourage. Okay. Encouraging. Encouraging a member to raise a. Is that right? Encouraging a member to raise an alleged breach with.
Yeah.
Well, it's hardly alleged and then an offender. What's the wording here?
Well, the wording, and I have given it to Jo, she will have it over there.
Okay.
If a member believes this code has been breached, he or she is encouraged to first resolve the matter by discussion with the member alleged to have committed the breach.
Right. Thank you.
Yeah.
All right. Andrew.
Thank
Yanni,
you.
Phil. Dion, I think you had your hand up too. No? Okay. Oh, sorry. Okay.
The panel of at least three people, where are they to be drawn from? What kind of people are they to be?
Well, some nominations would be really good.
It's hard to say, but clearly someone who maybe has had local government experience in the past, who may be good at mediation or facilitation, something like that, those sort of skills.
So three independent people, so
Yes.
not elected members,
No,
not staff.
no, not
three
current.
independent people.
Very independent, yes.
The thing is that, you know, I mean, I did talk to Carleen about this, and, you know, we kind of had a sort of an informal conversation about the sort of people, and maybe somebody who's, you know, retired from council, you know, somebody who's just, you know, retired. Well, yeah, right. Oh yeah, sorry. Anyway, we are in a public session here, so I keep forgetting when the media aren't actually immediately sitting there. But no, the point that I'm making is that it's somebody that the panel needs to be made up of people that can actually facilitate resolution. That's what it's all about. So it's not somebody you don't want somebody who's in a high paid, you know, position or something like that. It's somebody, you know, it's a group of people who are just able to help people reach a resolution. So it's just nice, kind people. Kind people.
Yeah. They should be justices and guilties.
You were thinking of peacemaking, but yeah, justices of the peace don't always fit that bill. So, right. So are you good with that?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And I had Yanni and then Phil.
Oh, yeah, thank you. I just had two questions. One was just in regards to dealing with the sensitive information, and oftentimes councillors will ask for information from staff, and I just wondered what conduct we've got in that regard. There's reference to information that elected members are given being a requirement to distribute to other elected members if it's relevant. So like, I don't know, car parking report, for example, but is there kind of a need for some greater protocols around the whole information, how we as elected members can request information, whether it's under Lagoima, whether it's formally to the Chief Executive, formally in writing? Because it just seems to me it's a bit of an unclear situation at the moment, and there seems to be quite a different response.
In terms of the Code of Conduct, it refers to the exchange of information between members. Standing orders and Lagoima provide for the obligation on elected members to deal with confidential information that they're given appropriately, and not to breach the provisions of either standing orders or Lagoima. So I think we've probably covered in terms of how you deal with confidential information.
So what recourse do we have as elected members if information's being done by the organisation or a council company, and we would like to see it?
That's not covered by the Code of Conduct, is what Ian just said.
But if an elected member's got a copy of that, is it their obligation to provide it to all of us through this?
No,
No.
not necessarily.
Why is that?
Well, there's a
I
section
quite
on
often
it.
have information that isn't available to every council member ahead of a reason to put things in the...
Right, so just in 7.2, members will disclose to other members, and where appropriate, the Chief Executive, any information received in their capacity as an elected member that concerns the council's ability to give effect to its responsibilities.
It's not information from staff. Isn't that
Yeah, but this
information
is information that's come to them
It doesn't have a time frame on it.
from another source. So if
yes,
you read
it's
the
not-
whole thing, members will disclose to other members and where appropriate the Chief Executive any information received in their capacity as an elected member that concerns the council's ability to give effect to its responsibilities. So this is a very narrow piece of thing. Members who are offered information on the condition that it remains confidential will inform the provider of the information. So that's outside the organisation. That is their duty to disclose the information to other members, and will decline the offer if that duty is likely to be compromised.
So are you saying that section needs to be read, everyone needs to be read as just one thing, or is
It's
it?
external information coming in.
Is it?
Shall I read it?
It's not clear, and I just think it would be good to get some clarity. I mean, I know a number of councils have got outstanding requests for information that we're having a bit of difficulty getting, and it would be good to kind of clarify that. I also thought that this code of conduct was between us and staff.
It's between us and ourselves. But
Yes, no.
Well, if you go to the staff...
Any complaint against a staff member will be dealt with under the Employees Code of Conduct, not this one.
Yeah.
So,
This is our code of conduct. It's
I think-
how
I
we
think-
behave.
I think the intention, and if it needs clarifying, I'm happy to do that, but I think the intention here is that if you are given information that's confidential, that relates to the workings of the council, you do have an obligation to, pass that on. Where standing orders comes in is that if you're, as a council, given confidential information, there are rules around how you can deal with that. I agree that perhaps this isn't as clear as it could be. I
But
think this
it's
bit
written
came
in the
straight out.
scope, and it's come from Local Government New
Yes,
Zealand.
it's a
So
LGNZ
if you
one.
go to page 2 of the report, which is 371, or page 2 of the attachment, the code has been adopted in accordance with clause 15 of Schedule 7 of the Local Government Act and applies to all members of the council and community boards. The code is designed to deal with the behaviour of members towards each other, the chief executive and staff, the media and the general public. And then it says it is also concerned with the disclosure of information that members receive in their capacity as elected members and information which impacts on the ability of the council to give effect to its statutory responsibilities. Now that's where I think there is the lack of clarity, because it doesn't explain what it means by giving effect to its statutory responsibilities, and it may well be that having an example included in the body of the code of conduct would actually be quite helpful in explaining what it's intended for.
I mean, I would have thought like a starting point would be that we should all be able to be entitled to see the same information unless there was good reason not to.
Well, no, I
Yanni,
don't-
that's
I don't
not what
think
it
that's
says,
the-
and I,
yes.
you know, that, and I, you know,
No, but as a general principle in terms of information, that, you know, that should be the kind of principle.
Well, I
and
think-
then work back from that.
no,
There'll be
but it
cases-
doesn't, it's referring to information which impacts on the ability of the council to give effect to its statutory responsibilities.
I think the situation you're referring to, Yanni, is covered by standing orders and Lagoima. I think this one is where you might get something from a resident that may have a real impact on the council, but it's only given to you in your capacity as a councillor. I think there is a duty there you would want to share that if it was impacting on the council to that extent. So that it's not the sort of information you would keep to yourself. You would need to share it with others.
Right. I just think
not
it's a little bit
clear
unclear
what-
from
it's
that.
not
It's
so
not
clear.
clear
clarify
exactly
that.
what that
what is meant
information
by
might
that.
be. So, yes, we can put an example or something in there.
I've got a speaking list or
Oh,
a question
so
list.
The second one was just around the comment to the media, 6.1 and 6.2. So there doesn't seem to be any restrictions on things like comments not being misleading or being accurate within the bounds of reasonableness on the media content on behalf of council. So it does seem a bit sort of a little bit skewed in that there's a whole bunch of restrictions on personal expression, but those same restrictions, and personally I couldn't see why they shouldn't also apply to the official position. You know, so
This doesn't refer to the official position. This is members individually.
no, but
how they behave.
Yeah, so if you look at 6.1, media contact on behalf of council, I mean, I don't think you'd want, you know, you'd want media comments observing other requirements of the code. For example, comments should not disclose confidential information, criticise or compromise the impartiality of the integrity of staff, but that's not referred to in 6.1, so it makes it seem as though that's only relevant to 6.2, but I would have thought that would be a kind of general media kind of principle, not just whether you're speaking on your own or you're speaking on behalf of council.
So we're already
delegate
currently covered by
spokesperson.
exactly this, aren't we, in the current code of conduct?
Yeah, I think, I haven't got it in front of me, but I think you need to distinguish between media contact on behalf of the council, as the clause says, and media comment from an individual councillor. And I think you need to look at them and
Just because someone's like a media spokesperson on behalf of council shouldn't mean that they're excluded from the same standards of reasonableness, professionalism as the ones who are expressing it in their personal point of view.
look, to be honest, I would have thought that if you're tasked with the job of speaking on behalf of the council, you reflect what it is the council wants you to say.
I mean,
It just
6.1 just simply says that I'm the first point of contact for an official view on any issue unless delegations state otherwise. When I'm absent, requests for comment are referred to the deputy mayor, the relevant committee chair or community board chairperson, and then I or whoever that person is can refer it to any relevant committee chair or community board or to the chief executive for comment. Community board chair is the first point of contact for an official view on any issue for which a community board has delegated authority to act, and no other member may comment on behalf of the council. So it's on behalf of.
You know, I understand that.
Yeah.
I completely understand that. But if you take like a community board chairperson, if they're going to go and comment on behalf of the community board, and they've just been asked to comment, and they're going to maybe criticise council staff, maybe they put something that's misleading, maybe they disclose some confidential information, like why would that be right? And there's nothing there that kind of puts those same principles in place as for 6.2. So that was...
Well,
the
that's a
kind of
breach of the code. That's a breach of the code. That's a clear breach of the code, because at that point, they are not then representing the official view of the community
Well,
board.
it's not clear from 6.1, and it does leave it quite open to
Well,
interpretation.
it is, because it is the very first point of contact for an official view on any issue. So it's asking for an official view. So if they go outside what the community board has decided, if they breach, that is definitely a breach of the code, and it would come to the chief executive, and no doubt under those circumstances would end up in front of a panel member.
Okay.
Now, I didn't write down the names. Who was next? Phil. Was there anyone else down here? No, Phil. Yeah, Phil, Dion, Raph, Sarah. Yep.
For this reference to seriousness of the breach and the principles, and then there's also reference, I think, on page 385 to a single incident or a number of incidents and a culmination of them. So presumably though, the phrase at the top of page 385, the recipient, and I presume that's the person receiving the complaint, is it?
Yep.
Would use their discretion if the complaint had been made in a timely way. So for example, just if for example a complainant had not made any complaint, say, for a year because they, for various reasons, they were too afraid to say, the person deciding this would take the type of offence, if you like, into account
and
around the
reason-
time.
Yeah, around the reasons for the delay, yeah.
Yep. And then my other point, Ian, was I've mentioned before about a sort of role, among, and maybe it's among the three people who would deal with these, sort of a person who could be proactive around some of these issues, and kind of like an ombudsman person, so that there's a way of sort of facilitating some of these issues. And if you take, I'm sure there'll be plenty of work if you take all our boards and all elected members and staff as well, and just if there'd be a role there for a person to be proactive to facilitate things, just to and I think with the objective of avoiding something more serious like a complaint. Is that possible? And Carleen,
What was the, sorry, isn't that picked up on the third one? Noting the additional provision under clause 12, if a member believes this code has been breached, he or she is encouraged to first resolve a matter by discussion with the member alleged to have committed the breach.
Yep, and that's cool, and they would do that one-to-one. And what I'm saying then, sometimes if another person might be able to facilitate or some kind of restorative process, that could be useful.
Isn't that the next stage?
Well, where's the next stage though, that in fact it would happen?
The next stage is that the complaints are discussed initially by the mayor or deputy mayor, and it says or deputy mayor.
So what I'm alluding to,
I might be the subject of the complaint.
So what I'm
and the chief executive,
yeah, well, that's
and
all
they
right.
will determine in a way that is fair and includes the affected parties whether or not the complaint warrants being taken further.
Yeah. So
it may be that they agree at that point that that they bring in an external person. It may be that one of the panel members is brought in. I would see the panel member though really more in the line of a problem solver somebody that can facilitate problem solving rather than
absolutely,
an arbitrator or a
I agree.
judge.
And
judge
so
and
I'm
jury.
just looking at how some of those people might be able to be doing that before it reaches the point of a complaint. That's all. Because this process depends on, first of all, some individual discussion, and then secondly, if that doesn't work, you make a complaint. And I'm really saying is we're still in between.
Could we put a phrase in there that asks the chief executive to facilitate the early resolution, before it becomes a formal complaint?
I think that's in there already, isn't it?
Whereabouts, Ian?
On 385, all complaints will be discussed initially by the mayor or deputy mayor and the chief executive. they will determine in a way that is fair to and includes the affected parties whether or not the complaint warrants being taken further.
Yeah, except what Phil's trying to say is don't make it into a complaint at that point. He's saying, not just whether or not the complaint warrants being taken further, in a way that is fair and includes the effect, whether there is a way of resolving the matter that doesn't require it to go any further, or whether the complaint warrants being taken further. So, you know, so that you've got a mechanism in there to settle things if there's another way of doing so.
Do I get then, we've got two mechanisms. We've got, first of all, the two members talking to each other.
Well, it says encouraged to, because somebody might not feel, you know, that they're able to front the person.
So, as it currently stands, if it's not possible to resolve it at that point, it then goes to the Mayor or Deputy Mayor and the Chief Executive,
Yep.
who also see if they can sort it out without it going any further. So, where does the other process come in? Is it going to be before it gets to the Mayor and the Deputy Mayor and the Chief Executive, or is it when it goes to an investigator?
Well, the thing is it says all complaints will be discussed initially by the Mayor or Deputy Mayor and the Chief Executive. They will determine in a way that is fair to and includes the affected parties whether or not the complaint warrants being taken further. Whereas it may be bringing the parties together in that environment might resolve the matter, might find a way of resolving the matter, rather than... I mean, it may be... I mean, I think what Phil's trying to say is that the reaching of an informal agreement to resolve the complaint, in which case no further action is required, maybe there's some wording in there that just enables that to be facilitated. It may be that an external party's brought in to help that process, that's all. I mean, I am thinking that, you know, this covers community boards as well as council, and there may well be you know, a strong desire to get external help to resolve some of these things early in the process. You're not a chair of a community board.
No ambition fee, thank you.
All right, so
I'll have a look at that. I'll see if I can put a...
But I think that's just that's one of the tidy up ones that could just be picked up in there. Okay, Dion.
Sorry. Can you please clarify what you meant by saying what the council wants us to say? When in relation to the question that Yanni asked?
Council
Yes,
position.
the spokesman is speaking on behalf of the council.
Yeah. Otherwise, you're speaking on behalf of yourself.
So there are points when, you see, that's a... But what I'm saying is that if we say something that's contrary, we say that.
Yeah, but you
myself.
say this is not the council position. This is my position.
Yeah, and so so the question is, what determines what the council wants us to say?
No, the resolution of the council is the council's position.
Yeah. Okay. So that's what that is.
Well, if I'm asked to give the council's position, I don't tell people what I think. I tell people what the council decided.
Yeah, it's entirely possible for you to have to present as spokesperson a view which is actually quite contrary to your own. But
and
but
I
you
do.
just have to do it.
I do. If I lose a vote at council, I do not stand up and say the council position is my position. I say the council position is this, and the media might say to me, but you voted against it, and I say the council position is this. So nothing changes the council position. That's what the collective is all about. The council decision becomes our decision, whether you voted against it or not. But you don't have to go out and defend it. What this says is don't go out and attack your colleagues over a decision you don't like.
And in that same thing, it was talking about, oh gosh, I've moved on, but there was nothing about media contact in the locations where elected members were elected. It was just the spokesperson, or sometimes these issues are actually, localised to an area that a council has been elected to. So I mean, is that going to be inserted into the document?
Yeah, I think that one of the issues, and I think, Ian, if I try to encapsulate what Dion's saying, is that you'll have councillors, who are elected to, represent the city around the council table, but they'll represent a ward, and then you'll have another councillor who doesn't represent that ward expressing a view about things that are happening in that ward. So how is that picked up in the code of conduct? I don't think it is it?
It's not. I've found it here. So it was saying that the mayor is the first point of contact for an official view on any issue, unless delegations state otherwise. Where the mayor is absent, requests will be referred to the deputy mayor, relevant community chairperson or community board chairperson. But I think it should also say or relevant councillor for that ward.
No, it doesn't.
It doesn't say that, but that's what I'm thinking it should say.
Well, it doesn't say that, because that's not the point of the first point of contact for an official view. If you're not supporting the official view of the council, which is the position that the council has taken by majority around this table, then you must only express a personal view.
Yeah,
and it doesn't matter whether you're the councillor for the ward or not.
Yeah, but sometimes things may pop up where you actually, what you were just saying before, if it's actually relevant to that ward and the media are looking for contact from that.
Probably be the community board chair if it's within a delegation.
Right.
So, I mean, yeah. I mean, I think, this is the current wording, isn't it?
Yes.
Yeah, so it's not...
I don't think we changed that.
It's not new wording. This is what we were already under before, we're under today. So I don't know that it's been well understood. Raf?
Yeah, just a general question, maybe comes up, there's no specific mention about social media.
That was my next question. So my next question on my list was around social media. So what actually is social media under this? I'll let Raf finish that one off.
Which one?
Needs to be in? Well, it's not in there, that's the whole...
There's nothing in there about it.
That's right. There isn't. Should we...
Well, the thing is, it may just be
identify
covered anyway, in general.
Is this time bound, Ian?
What?
Do we have to get this passed today?
No.
My comment, yeah.
Would you be able to take some time to write a social media one with input from councillors?
Can I just say, it's more than social media, because there are people who have access to social media that just happen to be in places where we are making public comments that are not to the media. So I think rather than being media, it's about public comments.
Yeah.
And it's not whether we're specifically speaking to the press or the Star or our Facebook pages or whatever. It's just the fact that we are making public comments, rather than specifically media.
That's true, but I think it is worth keeping the provisions that deal with who's the official spokesperson and how the chain of authority lies in that regard. I think that's worth keeping.
There's probably more members commenting on other members on social media, thinking that it might be private, but actually it's pretty...
It's public commentary.
It is public comment. But it is public comment. So look, I'd much rather get this right. I think public comment has to include social media. So, but it does have to include what you say at meetings, because there'll be people at meetings. I mean, one of my early experiences when I became mayor was that I gave quite a free and frank set of comments about my view about certain elements of actually the blueprint. It was on this particular occasion to a group of architect students who were reviewing the blueprint. It was entirely appropriate, but I had no idea there was a journalist in the room. And, you know, I learnt a very powerful lesson on that day, given that I had to send, I felt obliged to send a text to the Minister to say that there were going to be comments in the press the following day that might not
Can I just
make his day.
ask the question about whether this applies to all public comment and not just media?
Yes.
And so, do we need a special thing on social media, or could it be covered by the same?
Covered by the same, I
Just
think.
by public comments. Yeah.
Yeah, I think that the public comments, but that's not to detract from what's already there, it's in addition, so yeah, I think people that have a particular interest might like to feed into Ian about the sorts of things you'd like covered, but I think we can get that back on the agenda next week and tidy that up. Jimmy?
Also, can I just point out you've had this since November? No. Okay. No, that's fine. I'll do my best to get it back to you next week.
Would you like a wee bit more time?
Well,
yes, but he's probably doing 1,000 other things.
And we're printing the agenda tomorrow, so...
Oh, no, we're printing the agenda. Will we accept it as a late... Can we leave it lying on the table?
No, let's do it on the 4th of May.
4th of May.
4th of May, is that all right for people?
In the interim, we still have a code of conduct.
Yeah, we still have a current code of conduct, so, this has been a good exercise in hopefully reminding people that there is one. The current one still stands until we replace it.
Okay.
Jimmy?
If now on table also, because why this document called conduct actually is cover the councillor, community member, and also the CE. So whether from the page, we just specify this for the elect member and the CE. This binding document for that. If a public media or some other, it's not a binding name, but this one is binding for all elect members and also for the CE. If we review the page 374 in here, the role and the responsibility. I'm not sure.
You want me bound by this as well?
Binding or not binding? Because
to try and curtail your outbursts on social media is slating us.
Trying to do.
I mean, I don't know.
Because
I just have to keep her under control.
Styles in another one called conduct. We need to separate clear.
Yeah, so
this is about members only. Members. Elected members.
But here I have a chief executive responsibility and the role.
That's your relationship with me.
Our relationship, our behaviour towards our chief executive.
Yeah, but we only, to deal with the CE.
Yes, but it's about
only
us.
One employee,
it's our behaviour. It's how we behave. Not the chief executive.
So we have an employee code of conduct.
She's got a code of conduct, haven't you?
Yeah, yeah.
Right. Andrew.
Thank you. There's just one thing sprung to mind, possibly as a result of Jimmy's comment, actually. I'm just noting staff recommendation 3 requests each community board to replace their current code of conduct with the new code, At the moment, the community boards have got the ability either to adopt the code of conduct or not, so they make that decision for themselves. Yes. Are we leaving it to the community boards whether they want to adopt this code of conduct or not? I would have thought that a whole point in this was making sure there was consistency across all elected members so that we don't have any differences between community boards, and so that the rules for us are the same as the rules for the boards and so on. So it looks as though that's a... possibly there's an unintended consequence in 3.
Unfortunately, the Act doesn't give us the power to impose this on community boards. The way Clause 15 of Schedule 7 is worded, we can't adopt a code of conduct on behalf of community boards as well as ourselves. Yes, we would like this to be consistent across the whole organisation, and it has been currently with a few tweaks. So what we're saying is that we would request community boards to adopt the same code of conduct as us so that we have consistency.
Can I just check, because we are the council and we haven't changed our boundaries, we're still bound by the previous code of conduct until we adopt a new one by 75% vote. Yep. With the new community board areas, they're completely new community boards, and are they currently unbound by a code of conduct?
same rules as before. They haven't changed.
But it's not Hagley Ferry Mead anymore, it's Linwood Central Heathcote, it's different
Oh,
boundaries.
you know, they're bound by their current...
Yeah, because
yes.
do the code of conduct actually expire with the boundary changes and representation review?
In which case you'll have to report back
That's a good
immediately.
point. That's a good
Yeah.
point.
I think that
Thanks,
you can...
guys.
No, but I contemplate that, but the answer better be yes. Phil?
Ian, legally, when will this code of conduct take effect for us? Like, in terms of, say, going back several months, when does it sort of stop and start?
It'll start
Once
once
we
you've
pass
adopted it.
Once we've adopted it, right?
Yeah.
And that includes any complaint, any behaviour that is taken into account from...
Yeah. That's right.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay.
Aaron?
Yeah, just under the register of interests,
Page?
on our system, 381, it's item number, so it's part 9, but...
Yep.
Yeah, I'm just wondering if under the registers of interest, political should be there, given we're in a political environment. So
No, it's not legal requirement.
Right.
The register of interests is the register of pecuniary and other specified interests, and it's not a specified interest.
And that wasn't a political question, was it?
Well, is it? I don't know, but it's just that...
I'm happy to disclose that I'm a life member of the Labour Party, but it makes no difference to my role as the Mayor of Christchurch. I stood independently and I exercise my position around this table in the best interest of the City of Christchurch, not for any other reason.
Yeah, and that's great, and I think we're most...
So help me God.
Probably pretty aware that you have had some involvement
I'm a member.
with the Labour Party over time.
I think you stood for the ACT Party once, didn't you?
Sorry?
You stood for the ACT Party
Yes,
once.
I was a member for 1 year, and I'm thinking of... no
Yeah,
problems at all.
but no, the answer is no. This is not for that purpose,
Right.
and this discussion is not for that purpose either.
Right, okay, so I'll take that as a no.
No, this is about pecuniary interests.
It's pecuniary and other specified interests.
So you're saying, Jamie, that being involved in a political party couldn't have a financial outcome?
No,
I don't think so.
it's not a specified interest.
It shouldn't. I think it does. So.
Being,
Well, it doesn't. I mean, people, yeah.
Not
I
unless
mean,
you're both not giving them grants.
Yeah, oh well.
I think it's more just about being upfront of what your, financial interests are, or that you're not using your position in any way.
Because sometimes the public can be quite surprised when they find out someone's a member of a political party. And so it's easier.
it's actually nobody's business.
Yeah.
Is it not?
No.
I agree.
No, and I mean, there are people that ran very blatantly on a political ticket, and there are people that didn't. And people change their mind too. People change their status for a whole lot of different reasons. People leave a party for reasons, they join parties for a reason, they're independent for a reason. But that doesn't necessarily change, people's philosophical view. Every single person around this table is here because we care about the future of our city. Doesn't matter what their political approach is, and that's why this doesn't ask that question. It's not a register of interest. It's an interest. An interest is not, my hobby is photography. It's an interest, as in what is the whole structure around electoral donations, around all of these things, who people get paid by, any funding they receive. If somebody pays, for my air ticket to go and speak at a conference, I need to disclose that, and they do from time to time. So, I think it's important that people see what can be seen to be influenced if it were hidden. But it's put into the public arena so people can see. People's political interests aren't part of that picture unless they choose to make it. But it's
I
not.
actually think it would be very dangerous if you had to disclose that.
Yeah. And why should membership be the determinant of your philosophical view or political view?
It's a no.
Eh? Yeah. I think you would have noticed.
One more question.
One more question.
Before the council adopt this new code of conduct, current council we have two categories. One is a new councillor 5, the other one is incumbent councillor. But incumbent councillor we already have signed and combined binding by the original code of conduct. Whether this transit period we still binding by those.
Yes, we
but
are.
how about those new 5?
Yes.
But they didn't.
Ian just said they're covered by the current
still
code of
covered.
conduct.
But
You don't need to sign it to be covered by it.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it's your policy.
Thank you.
I wonder if we could truck on with this, because we're not even actually passing it today.
No,
anyway,
that's
are
right.
we?
All right, so I will move that the report lie on the table until the meeting of the 4th of May to enable the additions discussed to be incorporated in the document to be adopted.